and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we're bringing it back to our DCEU Rewatch Marathon with the final film on the Rewatch, and that is Shazam! I previously already reviewed Birds of Prey when that was released to digital early. If the coronavirus never happened, my prediction placed the digital release right around now, actually. Anyway, I had to move around my watch list to fit Birds of Prey in, but it is what it is. By this weekend, I should have a ranking video of all DCEU films up to this point. At least, that's my current plan. So, let us have an elegant colloquy about Shazam, and let's get cracking. This review is brought to you by the word of the day, colloquy. A high-level, serious discussion, like when I tell my son it's not okay to eat your boogers, and he replies, "But I'm hungry," and I say, "Well, I'm making dinner." Shazam focuses in on little Billy Batson, a foster child looking for his mother but having very little luck in the matter, when he is lured into a mysterious cave where a wizard grants him the power to become Shazam, a powerful, nearly invincible superhero. All he has to do is say the word Shazam and immediately ages 20 years and has powers that others can only dream of. The only problem is there's another man out there with similar but evil powers named Dr. Sivana, who is carrying the 7 deadly sins with him to achieve ultimate power. This is a fun movie, albeit a bit reminiscent of Tom Hanks in Big. Like many of the films in the DCEU, my feelings for this film is mostly a mixed bag. There's stuff that I really like about it, and then there's stuff that I don't. It's definitely an imperfect film, but out of the bunch, it's the best movie for entire families, which in a way makes it the film that fits with Marvel the most. It's got everything. It's light in tone. It's got a fair amount of humor, a basic as basic can be battle between light and dark. The hero in question was mostly unknown and goofy. It wasn't a bad attempt at a superhero film. In my original review, I likened this film to that of Ant-Man because he was a goofy hero that at times was pretty cheeseball factory, and that's okay. That's okay because it was played by Zachary Levi, who is really good at playing the man-child role. Me, I'm a pretty big fan of Levi's, and I really liked that he was cast here as Shazam because he's a pretty good choice to play a man-child. We've seen him do it back in the days of Chuck, and now he's doing it again here. Unfortunately, the problem that I have with the casting is the fact that I never really believed that Shazam was the same character as Billy Batson, and it's supposed to be. It's actually the same exact problem that I have with Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, where kids transform into adults, and the adult versions were more or less exaggerated versions of the actors themselves. In Jumanji, The Rock was basically The Rock, Kevin Hart was basically just being Kevin Hart, and so on and so forth. In Shazam, Zachary Levi was basically just being Zachary Levi, not Billy Batson. Billy Batson is a more grounded, serious, passionate character. Shazam is basically a cartoon character a majority of the time, and I could not connect the two characters as one. I'm not sure if that has to do with the acting, the chemistry, or what, but personally, I found that to be a pretty substantial problem. Also, I'm not entirely sure which story I'm supposed to care about the most. You have the coming-of-age storyline where Billy Batson is trying to discover his full potential as Shazam. You have Dr. Sivana, who is desperately attempting to achieve ultimate power. And then you have the third story, and that's family-centric. It's a mixture of Billy Batson trying to find his mother, who he lost when he was a kid, and it's about the foster family and their messages about what family actually means, and stuff like that. I'm not sure which story to actually care about because none of them are really going anywhere specifically. The stuff with the missing mom is basically ignored throughout the second act, even though I think that would have been probably the best story. At least all on its own. The coming of age stuff is a silly fun time, but it's not really going anywhere specifically, like I said, and the villain looking for ultimate power is a very, very weak motivator. Sure, there's some stuff in there about feeling worthless as a child and trying to, I don't know, make up for that as an adult, just in the worst possible way ever. I get it, but honestly, it's still a pretty weak motivation at the end of the day. Mark Strong is, honestly, he's a very over-the-top supervillain. Maybe that's the point, maybe it's not, I'm not sure, but it reminded me, actually, of the supervillain in Ant-Man, who was also over-the-top and Cheeseball Factory. I almost feel like I was not in the target audience for this movie, while the other movies in the DCEU I was in the target audience for, which feels really weird to me. The entire DCEU is honestly a mixed bag of themes and tones. Some are super dark, others are really light and colorful. I know that there are people out there that love this movie, and I thought it was just fine. It has its moments, sure, but I had a lot of difficulties really believing that these kids lived in the same world that the Justice League exists in. Let's take a look at the final score. From an unbiased vantage point, I think the film was as safe can be. It had a basic light versus dark theme. Nothing about the cinematography, editing, or visuals really seemed that challenging. And the casting was sometimes hard to believe that Levi was the same character as Billy Batson. My unbiased score is 72%, but it's still a fun movie all on its own, and I mostly had a decent time with it, so my bias score is a little bit higher at 84%, averaging everything out to a final score of 78%. 78 out of 100 possible stars, granting Shazam with a letter grade of C+. It's not terrible by any means, but I do think it could have easily been better. Take that as you will, and tell me your thoughts on Shazam. Is this a movie that you think is better than any of the other movies in the DCEU? Or are you kind of on my side and thinking that it's fine, it's nothing great, it's nothing terrible, it's just kind of in the middle? Let me know. And as for YouTube, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button if you like this review and would like to see some others like it. Hit the thumbs up button because that always helps out my channel. And don't forget about the little bell icon because that'll help notify you when I come up with my next review. And until then, peace out!